This is me, Bradley Mills. You may think that I was a normal looking, happy kid. If so, you'd be wrong. For I was a geek. However, my older brother Max was so cool, I looked up to him. The difference between me and Max was into sports. And I was into chess. Girls like sports guys, and no one likes chess stars.
Well, Bradley was a challenge really. And I knew from the very first day that I taught somebody really special.
This is Benjamin James, my chess coach. We trained 4 times a week in order to make the chess championship. He went to hospital a week before the chess championship. I felt more pressure to do well for him. This is Ahmed Ryan. He was ranked 25 in the world. I had to up my game. It was a hard fought match. I had victory in my sight. But it was taken away as I realised he had me at checkmate. I was disillusioned with chess. The defeat in the championship destroyed my confidence.
Oh hi! Sorry. Loads of funny things, like in maths. When we were doing algebra, on pi, we were doing pi. And then Brad said, hey, guess what I had for dinner last night? And we all just went, pi! So funny.
Okay, I lied. I'm actually dyslexic. It is a learning difficulty that affects my ability to read and absorb information.
You didn't expect that, did you? Did you? No!
I have the attention span of a fly.
My first meeting with Brad was to find this sprawled out, hungover individual lying on the floor in front of my boss's office. I'd never met him before. He leapt up, I don't know, burbled at me. Wasn't sure what he was doing, was about to give up PE, told me about his holiday to Malia. First day of term to be told that this boy was going to be fast tracking in my subject, and I was against it. I didn't think he'd cope from what I'd seen of him.
People think of people with learning difficulties as being in short yellow buses with a helmet on, or a retard. But I like to think I was normal. Sort of. One day, we had a class spelling test. The teacher read the results of the test out loud. Chloe, 19. Jordan, 15. Sam, 18, and so on. Then she stopped and asked me to go outside. She told me my grade. As I walked in, my friends joked and said, "What did you get, 2 or something?" I laughed and said yes. Actually, I got 0 out of 20 and felt embarrassed. It all started since as long as I can remember.
When Bradley was at infant school in Benton Infants, many a time he used to get a phone call from his teachers at school saying that he'd walked off out of class without telling anyone. They'd look around and thought, where's he gone? He'd disappeared. He just lacked concentration, lacked sort of motivation. He got bored easily and wanted to go off and do his own thing.
The only book I ever read was called Captain Underpants. This year I was diagnosed as dyslexic. This helped me to understand why I was different to the other kids. I then found out that a lot of my friends had similar learning difficulties.
Oh, this was funny. I got real on here. Okay, one time in science class, it was me, Brad, and George, and light bulb, what do you call it? Light bulb baseball. So Brad got a book. I had a light bulb, threw it at it, he smashed it. Home run, baby.
I started to look back on my past with this new information, and it all started to make sense.
In year 10, Brad was a very frustrated young man, especially when you gave him feedback on assessment and marking. He really didn't take well to the feedback, and he always got very argumentative. And it came to a point at the end of year 10, because of this resilience to write things down and take notes, that I put a suggestion forward that he should go for the foundation tier for his GCSE exam. I think this suggestion really did sort of hit him hard, because he was aspiring for much better things in media. He did change in year 11, he became a lot more mature, sort of understanding of his situation, taking more notes, and he put himself forward through to the higher tier, and he got himself an A, for which I'm really proud of him as well, because he really did show that he did have that potential and proved me wrong a little bit by saying, you know what, sir, I can do it, look what I've done.
So when I first met Bradley as a student in my class, for the first few weeks I thought he was going to be the most annoying student that I'd ever met, because he never sat still and he was always talking and he would never make any notes, and he told me he was never going to do any homework. But I have to say, over time he's developed into a very charming student who I actually have a great deal of respect for. He is working brilliantly, his coursework is looking very promising. He's actually done some essays for me. Still doesn't sit still all the time, but yeah, so if only all of my students were like Bradley.
Now, bullies are horrible and very common in schools. They make your life hell. Constant wedgies.
So do you want me to just talk about
This is why we are us today. We are the product of anger.
Is it all set up?
We change the camera angle slightly.
Oh, God.
We do like a conclusion, maybe.
Okay. Right, in conclusion, don't judge a book by its cover. Give people a chance. Listen to what people say about what makes them tick. And be patient. Allow people to just find their own way, because it usually works. If they're motivated and want to do well, they find their own way in the end. And that's what I think's happened here.
I think it's really important to be able to reflect on any difficulties you have in your learning and to be understanding of it. I think the difficulty is, and what I felt Brad found, was that he put up a resistance to accepting difficulties in his learning in year 10. And when you gave him feedback, it was more of a defensive no I don't, rather than actually I think I do, what can you suggest?
I have learnt a lot from examining my narrative as a recently diagnosed dyslexic for this presentation. Although I feel that our culture values intelligence, I've realised that aspiring to be a geek just isn't me. I have started to appreciate the other skills I have, my creativity, my sports skills, and I've also realised that being able to spell isn't a sign of intelligence. I have been stereotyped in the past. I have experienced firsthand the halo and horns theory, which suggests that people often label others because they misread the signs. I know that when people, particularly teachers, first meet me, they perceive me as disruptive, with poor concentration and no organisation skills. However, I think I've proved a lot of these teachers wrong. I have the potential to be an A-grade student, even if I don't conform to the stereotype of the class know-it-all. I no longer aspire to be a geek because I know who I am, and the feedback I receive shows that others value me for being that person.